Hi, everybody. I'm Father Studeman here at St. Richard's in Sterling. Welcome to this presentation. This is the first of three presentations that I'm presenting to you to highlight the reopening of our church after this pandemic. It's an historic time for us after having been out of the building for over a year. And so what I did to begin was I wrote you a letter. I'm sure you all have received it by now, or maybe by tomorrow. I wrote 600 letters explaining what we're hoping to do. And this is a copy of the letter. It's like a brochure. Beautiful picture of the church on the front. And today, what I'd like to talk about was going to Mass, kind of a basic thing. For most of us, I think that Mass is the 1 hour a week out of 168 hours of every week that we focus on our faith. And it's where we fall in love with God and where we nurture that relationship with Him. Now, I put a nice quote on the front of this brochure as well, and it's by the former head of the Jesuits internationally, Father Pedro Arrupe. And I'd like to read it to you. It's called Falling in Love with God. That's why we're here. Nothing is more practical than finding God. That is, falling in love in quite an absolute final way. What you are in love with and what seizes your imagination will affect everything. It will decide what will get you out of bed in the morning, what you will do with your evenings, how you will spend your weekends, what you read, what you know, what breaks your heart, and what amazes you with joy and gratitude. Fall in love, stay in love, and it will decide everything. So that's why we're here. That's why we go to Mass, to nurture our love with God. So we're here in front of the church. Why don't you come with me now? We're going to go inside and talk about a few things. Okay? Come with me. Oops. I'm going to go through this door into another dimension, if you will, where my spirit is welcome. In going through this door, I am called to let go of everything as I enter, everything out there in the world, even everything in my own mind and thinking, even in my body and how it's feeling. This is a threshold to what has been referred to as a holy place. Now, this is not to say it's the only holy place. If you go out for a walk in the woods or go to the ocean, that's a holy place too. But this is unique. When we come in here, we try to be still and simply focus on God. So that one step takes us into a different world. Here we go. Okay, I'm not going to bless myself with holy water because there isn't any. Stupid pandemic. We had to kibosh the holy water for a while, and we hope it gets back. But we usually come in and we bless ourselves in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit to actually identify ourselves as children of the Lord. Okay, so here we are. Why don't we walk down the aisle, and I'll meet you at the pulpit, right down there. Okay, here we are at the heart of the church in the sanctuary. And I want to point out the two altars that we have in our church. That's right, two altars. The first one is the pulpit, the podium, whatever you want to call it. This is the altar of the Word, we might say. And the other altar is the altar of the Eucharist that we traditionally think of as the altar. But from this altar, you hear the Word of God. It's very important. God is speaking to us when we come to Mass. course, it takes a lot of listening and understanding, and it's hard. But so what? If God is speaking to us, that's an amazing, amazing thing. So if you really try, and if you expect to hear the voice of the Lord, to learn something, to take something home with you, you will. You will. It's just amazing. It's life-changing. That's all I can say. So, first altar. Let's go up now to the main altar. Now, this is the main altar. You might want to come really close and get a look at what's here on this table. Beautiful. Okay, we have the beautiful chalice and all the accoutrements, the linens that are decorated so beautifully. And this is where the miracle of the Mass literally takes place. This is the most sacred place. And up close and personal, when you see this, really, it tells you something. It tells you that you are a guest at the Last Supper. When Jesus met with his disciples, it was a small group. And every time we have Mass, it's like we're recreating that Last Supper and we are participating with the Lord. Okay? Now, in front of the altar, you might see down here below, I put a banner up there. I had that made recently. And I put this beautiful quote by our Holy Father. And it says, "Welcome to St. Richard's. We are a field hospital for the wounded." What a beautiful metaphor. A field hospital for the wounded. We're all wounded in some way or another. And so that's what church is about. We don't come here because we're perfect. We come here because we need healing, we need strength, and we need hope. Okay, so I think the Pope was very wise in speaking of it in that way. Now, if you really study the Mass, one thing you're going to find out, and I'll show you because it's right over here. It's something that we used a few years ago during Lent, and I'll put it up for you. It's a great big cup, kind of a chalice. And it was made for us by Barbara, who's on our staff. She's an artist. And we used it that year, and we still think of it to remind ourselves of what Jesus said to the apostles James and John when they wanted to claim a high place, with him in heaven. He said to them, "Can you drink of the cup that I am to drink of?" Wow, what a question, huh? And it wasn't a trick question, but the more I thought about it, I think Jesus knew how to ask questions, because in asking the question that way, he was going to get a pretty good response from James and John. But truth be told, if he said it in more plain English, this is what it would have been like. This is what it would have sounded like. Are you willing to shed blood? Are you prepared to die for me, the gospel? Frightening questions, scary questions that we don't want to hear. So I think he put it in a poetic way for a reason, to make it as attractive as he could. Are you willing to, able to drink from the cup that I will drink of? But the bottom line is he's inviting us to come and to die with him, to our selfishness, to whatever it is in our lives that isn't good. Okay, it's an invitation to death and to trust that he is the Lord of everything. Okay, so don't be fooled by the saying, when you come to church, that's what you're coming for. You're coming here to learn how to die and to die well. That's why people have such a hard time with going to church. It's not the music, it's not the preaching, it's not the time away from television, or it's not canceling the ball game. It's because we're terrified of this question. That's really what our faith is all about. And if we were able to study everything that happens up here in detail, you'd be amazed how beautiful it is, how filled with history it is, and so forth. But sometimes people say, oh, Mass is boring, it's repetitious. Well, if you keep this question in the forefront of your mind, there's nothing boring or repetitious about what's happening at Mass. It's a serious invitation to live a noble life, to be the best version of yourself. Now, today, parishes are in trouble because the percentage of people not going to Mass anymore has grown. It's a cultural change. The world has changed. And I have a thought about that. When I was growing up in the 50s and 60s, my family went to Mass every single Sunday, no exception, unless you were throwing us. We didn't think about it. We didn't question it. We just did it. It was part of our lives. It was part of the culture around us. All the kids I grew up with, they went to church too. It was just automatic. Well, we weren't a particularly pious family, but that's what we did. Although I must say, I also went to confession every Saturday from grade 2 right through graduation from high school, and I also went to benediction every Sunday night, all the way through school. But that was like normal. All the kids did. The families did. Excuse me. But the culture has changed, and you probably have to make a deliberate choice every week. It's not automatic. It's not that kind of cultural habit that made it a little easier for previous generations. But this is my thought on this. For me and my family, going to church like that, for many millions of Catholics, it became, I guess I could say, it became a foothold. Okay? It gave me a solidity in life. And it seemed to belong to us. The Mass belonged to us, and it gave us a sense of belonging. And this is priceless, absolutely priceless for you, for your children, for your grandchildren. That sense of stability in life, we really can't live without it. So let me close by saying that that's really the meaning of community. When we gather for Mass, we come together, being connected with something larger than myself, being part of a bigger family where we belong, where we're accepted, where we learn and grow. You know, recently we all flocked to the cemetery for Memorial Day weekend. What a beautiful thing. And it strengthened your community there, visiting the dead, even with the dead. Okay? It doesn't take away the pain of death. It doesn't take away the pain of the losses we've all had, or the harrowing knowledge that I will not see this person again in this life. But it is a fundamental part of our humanity to stay connected with the living and with the dead. And it's the source of our hope. So come to Mass. I'd like to invite you to come to Mass as if you took a vow to do it. And this is my wedding book. Listen to this vow in terms of coming to Mass. I promise to go to Mass, to have and to hold from this day forward. I go to Mass for better or worse, when I'm rich and when I'm poor, in sickness and in health. I will love and cherish my church and my Mass until death do I part. Do you agree? And everybody said, I do. Okay, you are now falling in love with God and committed to His way of life. Thanks for listening. Keep the faith. And I say that at the end of every Mass because I know how hard it is to keep that faith. Keep it going. So I'll see you next time. Meantime, I hope that you can bring a stone into our backyard out here where we're having a rock garden, because we are the living stones. We are the church. We're the field hospital for one another. God bless you.